All right, guys. Our next guest, making his first appearance on Submission Radio, he is fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov in a fight that fans almost got to see in December last year. Now they will be able to watch it in the main event of UFC on Fox 19 in April. It is a pleasure to welcome Tony Ferguson to Submission Radio. Tony, welcome to the show. How's it going?
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, man. Just I'm driving about 4 hours from my house to go support one of my local fighters. And, man, you guys are killing some time for me, so thank you.
Well, we're great at killing time, Tony. Now, before we get into what seems like the biggest fight of your career, we've noticed that you've also bought a new home with your wife, and it seemed to also coincide with Valentine's Day and your birthday. Is that right? Could that be right?
Yeah, it was absolutely right. It was actually really cool. I had the opportunity to move in on my birthday and Valentine's Day. I took the opportunity to do it, and right before the fight camp starts. So that would be an awesome way to kick off the camp. My wife's pregnant, just needed a house for my baby boy, and just took care of business, man. It was the biggest man move I've ever made, so, props to that.
Wow, congratulations on the house. Congratulations on the pregnant girlfriend. Let's talk about the new crib for a second. What are some of the features you're pumped about, and will there be a man cave for Tony, and what's it going to have in it?
Oh, the man cave. You guys don't even know. I just started with my garage, and I just started getting the spec down. I'm actually going to put a nice in-home workout facility in there. And I'm going to put a nice ring. I'm going to build a ring because I'm a fan of boxing. I'm a Mexican, so I like the ring. The octagon is my playground, but the ring, if you can move in a boxing ring, you can move in a cage. I got some boxing bags I'm going to be hanging up. I got a lot of trophies. I got a nice spot for my belt when I'm going to win it. Nice little place for that to go. And it's beautiful, man. It's everything a man cave is going to be. The place is going to be full of a sauna. Just everything I absolutely need to keep myself sane and victory shake.
Now, are you meaning to tell us there won't be a big screen TV and possibly even spa facilities at this man cave?
Oh, you know it, man. It's going to have a nice holistic spot to have a relaxation. You know, the big TV, you know what it is. I see the visions in my head. It's going to take some work, but I see it. And, hey, every goal that I've ever had, I've crushed it. So my man cave is definitely going to be one for the books. You guys will definitely see some pictures. I might have an MTV Cribs or something like that. I have to show you guys through with my Skype.
Now, let's talk about your fighting per se. The man crib aside, apart from your decision loss to Michael Johnson, Tony, you had a stellar run beating some tough names in the UFC. However, for the longest time, it kind of seemed like even though you were winning, you never really got the attention or credit you deserve. Well, what was that period like for you, and did it ever get to you?
Yeah, it got to me. I'll be honest with you. I saw my ranking go down from all that hard work, knocking everybody out, putting up the numbers. One fight, man. That's all it took. Took a broken arm and it sent me back down to top 70 or something like that. I don't know. It sucked. So for like a year and a half, I'm sitting here watching my opponents. I'm kicking and screaming at the TV. Wife's going nuts watching me do this stuff. Year and a half goes by. Hey, you know what? Shit happens. It's going to happen. But the important thing is I'm kicking ass. I've got 7 consecutive victories. I'm on my way for the 8th one. April 16th, Khabib Nurmagomedov, the main event. The Eagles going down. That's it. It's plain and simple. 8 consecutive victories is what we're going for. 11-1 sounds better than 10-1.
Before we jump into this fight, Tony, I'm just wondering, do you feel like you're getting the attention and the promotion that you deserve now that you're fighting the number 2 ranked guy in a main event?
I always fight low pro. I'm a B-12 stealth bomber. I always do the damage when I need to. I don't need to always be out there in the spotlight. That's for the other guys. I'm a fighter's fighter. I go out there and I do my job, and I set the standard and the pace for these younger generations to go out there and do better than I did. I don't have a blueprint to what I'm doing. My coach, the coaches that I have, and the training staff that I have with my team and my squad, we spend every ounce of our energies to making sure that we're bettering ourselves. Whether that's we don't have any ego, we're working on our team building skills. That way we have an aura. When we build that energy, it's loose back there. You're having fun. You're worrying about the technique. You're not worrying about all the other bullshit. I'm not worried about promoting myself. My moves and everything speak for themselves. All of my fights have been getting better. None of these fighters want to fight me. None of them are signing on the dotted line. You have Anthony Pettis, who just signed the dotted line for Edgar Barbosa. Well, if you want to try to calibrate yourself against that dude to try to fight me, you're not going to be able to do it. I think Edgar Barbosa is going to chew him up, spit him out. These other fighters that have risen to the top, they fall fast and they fall hard. But you go slow and steady like the tortoise and the hare. That's what I say, silly rabbits.
I like these analogies. I really do. This fight with Khabib, it definitely feels like a title eliminator, Tony. I mean, he's claiming that it is. Have you been told by anyone in the UFC that if you win, you'll get a title shot with 8 in a row?
He's bullshitting, man. That dude needs to put up some numbers and needs to fight, put up some rounds to be deserving to get even a title shot. He talks about the title shot BS. I think it's BS on his part. That dude's shelf life is worse than a box of cereal. You know, and I hate to say it, but when he's cutting down from, if he's at 200 some odd pounds and he gets to 155 pounds, his bones are going to be brittle. And for me, I stay close to weight, and I'm going to be sharp. I'm going to be fast. And his one-dimensional ass ain't going to be able to handle me. He's flat-footed and he has no rhythm.
What about yourself though? Because I mean, whether he sort of thinks he deserves a title or not is kind of a side thing. But you know, this would be 8 fights for you. Has anyone told you, Tony, if you win this, you'll get a title shot?
I said something to Dana. He was like, "Hey, just worry about your vacation right now, kid." And the funny thing is they got a good plan for me, and I'm not in any rush. When I clean out this division, I will move back up to 170 pounds and clean up that division. I didn't even want to be at 155. So I'm a company man. I decided to go. They offered me a chance. I said, okay. I stayed here, and from the looks of it, the way I started taking it out, I wanted to be the greatest of all time. So I had to pick off all the 10 of them, not just whoever. I started from a good number, and I went all the way down to top 70, like I said, when I lost. And now I'm top 5. But I didn't take any easy route here, or easy route, and every time and every chance I've ever got, I've always tried to get better and finish my opponents. Not one other fighter out there is doing what I'm doing. Nobody's using the elbows like me. Nobody's using the flips and the kicks. Nobody's using the roll attacks or the takedown, the creative transitions, fighting for my back. It doesn't matter where these guys go. I'm deadly everywhere. And that's how I practice and how I train.
Well, for fans who may not know, you've had a lot of opponent switches and opponents getting injured in your UFC run. We've counted at least 4 cancellations and opponent changes thus far. I'm just wondering, Tony, at this point, are you almost numb to that situation? Because obviously you were supposed to fight Khabib in December. It didn't happen, and Khabib is very injury prone. Do you worry about him pulling out again with April being so far away?
I don't. I mean, with my fight with Michael Johnson, they had pulled out in the fight, right? And when they pulled out, they went through not just 1 or 2 opponents. I mean, I went through a shitload of opponents, man. There was like 15 trying to find me an opponent. And for myself, I like to stay busy. I don't like to just be on the sidelines. I'm a wrestler. I'm used to having tournaments every freaking weekend, man. Every weekend, and I'm competing that way, making the weight on Friday and competing on that Saturday, resting on Sunday, and doing it again on Monday. These other guys, I can't do that. I love to compete. I love to make money, and I love to be able to support my family. I like nice things. I'm not always out there, but I do work hard. These other dudes that are in my division, the only person I see who works as hard as me is probably RTA.
It's probably who, sorry?
And even that much credit, Dos Anjos.
Okay,
but
yeah.
Even still, and we were over at Rain Training Center, and you know there was a time where we could have trained together, but we knew we were going to face each other. But that dude does not want to fight me either. That dude's watching me on his Periscope and watching me on his Twitter, and I'm sure his coaches too. And respect to him and his team because those dudes are class acts. They're pretty cool at being MMA. Actually, and Rafael Cordero, he just won Coach of the Year, so congratulations to him. I saw him. He was sitting in front of me at the World MMA Awards. You know, this game is cool. You can be friendly with people. You can be businesslike. But when you got characters like McGregor going in here and being loudmouth, then it forces guys like me to go in there and shut these guys up. So I hope RDA finishes him. Either way, it doesn't matter. That belt is staying there. It's staying warm for him. And I love that because it's not going anywhere. Neither am I.
Well, we'll get to McGregor in very soon, but before we do, let's talk about this matchup. You talked about all your different moves, your rolls, your transitions. Can't get over those rolling attacks. Khabib thus far has shown that he's the most dominant grappler in the division. How do you deal with his level of Sambo and wrestling skills in this fight, Tony?
His level of wrestling and Sambo skills goes as well as the conditioning. His conditioning is piss poor, man. That dude is only trained one-dimensional, and his Sambo is good. How you get that? Granted, but my wrestling is great. It's phenomenal with my MMA and my grappling thing that I've transitioned into it with my jiu-jitsu. He's just too slow. You can try to emulate my style, but there is nobody out there to predict what I'm going to do next. You can try as best as you can. I level change quicker. I'm so more innovative and original than most of these guys that are out there. Khabib is it's a comparison between a quarterback and a cornerback. I'm damn near close to being an all-state cornerback, and actually this dude, I'm going to put him on his ass. He's a Sambo champ, and how do you beat a Sambo champ in Sambo? You take him from his feet and you throw him to his back. 5-point move in wrestling. I'm very familiar with that. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to make an attempt to be one of my fastest finishes because I used to take pride in that wrestling. My fastest pin in wrestling is about 3 to 5 seconds.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's one of those things, Tony, where a lot of people don't think that you might want to grapple with Khabib. So are you saying that in this fight we may still see you going for your rolling submissions against him, even though he is quite a dangerous grappler?
He is a very dangerous grappler. But you got to remember, too, I'm a knockout artist and a submission specialist. I'm deadly. I'm the James Bond of this division. You guys have no idea of my secret weapons. I go in there, and they want to get close, I'm going to use my elbows. They're going to get sliced and diced. You know, I would love to add Khabib's picture to the list of Josh Thompson and Edgar Barbosa, bless their heart. But, you know, even when we'll touch on that little face with Conor McGregor, I'll give him his red panty night if he really fucking wants.
Oh, wow. Spitting fire. And I love the James Bond comparison. The Reebok needs to make like a Reebok tuxedo. You've talked about, obviously, the grappling. Give us your analysis of Khabib striking. How much of an advantage do you feel you have in that area over him? Because that's the one area where he's been criticized.
I hope he goes in there and wants to go toe-to-toe because I'll light this dude up. He's too slow, and I'm too fast. He wants to go toe-to-toe, that's my world right there. I know him and Khabib. He's going to try to pressure me and use his old BS games that he always does. Boring as hell. I'm going to lay and be a wet blanket. For me, I'm not that wet blanket. I go in there and I'm going to snap him out. I'm going to snap his ass with that towel, and that's it. Send his ass home. It could be a long plane right back to Rush after I get going.
Now, Tony, one of the things that Khabib criticized you over on social media was your celebration of Sage Northcutt losing. He called you a bum and claimed that you were jealous because he makes more money than you. Looking back on the whole situation, do you regret your reaction at all about Sage's loss?
Well, I don't think he makes more money than me. If you count 4 performances a night bonuses, not kicking everybody's ass, I do pretty decent, man. And as far as everything else is concerned, I do think the kid has a lot of potential. I think it's bullshit that Khabib is trying to hop on bandwagon to try to keep everybody going against me. But, hey, if he needs everybody to fight his battles for him, that works for me. And Sage Northcutt, I give props. You know, he's a young kid. I didn't know he was that young, but he should have been able to get out of jiu-jitsu move like that. It's a long flute choke. I called it out at that instant. A couple of days later, Gracies were like, "Oh yeah, it was a long flute choke." You know, this is the shit that I know, man. The people, if you guys really want to know some jiu-jitsu, some MMA, or those kind of things, follow my page. I speak it and I keep it real, man. These are some little things that I teach my students before they even make that transition to go into pro. From their amateur days, they know how to get out of these chokes and these holds. This is a man's sport and a woman's sport now. This is a grown-ass sport. These kids that are 19 all the way to 21 need to go to school, go to college, get that education, get a little toughness in there. Go take a sport like wrestling and make that great play. You go into this sport, you better be ready for what comes after you. And I've dealt with it, good and bad. And like I said, if this kid has any heart, they'll bounce back, and it doesn't matter what goes on in his life. He's going to bounce back. He's an athlete. If Dana sees potential in him, that's cool, because he saw potential in me too. But I went through the Ultimate Fighter house. I'm tough as shit.
We spoke before about how the fight may potentially be a title eliminator and you may be next in line to be fighting the champion. Of course, the outcome of who the champion will be goes down at UFC 196 between Rafael Dos Anjos and McGregor. Give us, you touched on it before, but give us your sort of prediction and I guess break it down for us. Who do you expect to come out victorious in that fight and why?
Whoever stays the calmest. That's how it's going to be. Whoever stays the calmest. The way I see the fight is whoever gets most excited is going to make a mistake. And that's how it goes with all the shit talk and everything else. You can't force a guy like me to make a mistake, though, because those are the kind of fights that I love. If somebody wants to give me that fuel for the fire, they're going to get hit. Talk shit get hit. RDA's case, I'm not sure. I can't speak for him. I can't speak for McGregor either, because they're in my weight class. I hope they get both knocked out. Double KO. They think they'll give it to me. That's how I see it happen. It happened before, it could happen again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a double KO. That might be a bit difficult to figure out who the champion your next opponent will be. But let me ask you this, Tony. After watching what McGregor did to Aldo, were you at all surprised? And did it change your perception of him? Because I'll be honest, I thought Aldo was going to beat McGregor just like many other people because he was pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. And then what McGregor did to him absolutely blew my mind. Did it change your perception of McGregor and his skills?
No, it just made me fucking pissed off because I knew he was going to come to 155. And I knew that he was going to probably get a title shot because he can talk his ass off. And unlike in this sport, you can talk your way to a title or you can work your way to a title. I'm not hating on either one of them because I'm doing one of them. I've earned my stripes. I've done my shit. So I don't have a problem laying pro. But if this bitch wants to try to go to 170 before fighting me, that's fine. I'll beat him up there. But either way, you can't run from me. It doesn't matter. Because we all know what kind of character you are if you don't take the fight. The king talking all this shit, all this, and avoiding me. Not my words, not nobody talking about, but nobody wants to fight. And I love that because I fear this guy. And McGregor does not want to fight. He's seen me. I've looked into his eyes. I've shook his hand. He felt my grip. I'm so far.
I'm curious, when was this? When did you guys sort of have an interaction? When did you meet up and you saw this in his eyes?
Yeah, my management office. We're managed by the same Paradigm Sports Management.
Oh, of course.
I love them. They're the Velcro of my management system right there. I love them guys. But I tell you what, that does not put any bad blood for anybody that took my weight class.
Now, Tony, obviously people are very interested to see how a fight between you and McGregor would go down. How do you honestly feel a fight does play out between you two if he is your next opponent after Khabib?
This dude claims to be a master of movement, but he's a turtle on his back. Chad Mendes, if he had any kind of conditioning or patience, he would have passed the guard and put him out. I see McGregor, you can't learn wrestling overnight. I see your movement. It's cool. It's predictable. But it's not the fight at hand. Khabib Nurmagomedov is 22-0 guy is going to go down. 22-1 is what his record's going to be after this. And then every single fighter after this, when I push that picture up with his face all cut up from my elbows, nobody's going to want to sign out of line. I'll probably have a nice little vacation and all that.
One of the issues, obviously you're fighting Khabib, and you know we're sort of getting ahead of ourselves here. But we're already talking about what's sort of next after the Khabib fight. And one of the issues we've spoken about here on the program is that if McGregor is the dual champion, it may have a negative effect on fighters like yourself because he's got to juggle both title defenses. For example, it already looks like he may be fighting Frankie Edgar at UFC 200, defending the featherweight belt. Have you thought about the lag that this might cause for your title campaign, and how do you feel about him being allowed to do this while most never really got that luxury?
I wouldn't even really call it a luxury. I have a job, and I'm kicking ass at stuff. Dana sees it, Sophia sees it, Joe Silva sees it. As long as I keep doing my job, I'm going to have a nice little spot for myself in that Hall of Fame hall. Everybody knows I never talk my way here. I've earned my way here. That's why I have a lot more fans that respect me because they've seen me put the stuff out all the way till now. None of my fans are flunks, man. None of these fans are road, like, what do you call them? To jump on the bandwagon dudes. These dudes see me go through hell and back. They see me come out of as a phoenix. Risen out, planes, man, coming out and doing some damage. These guys, they just don't get it. These other fighters, they just don't get it. But I love it, man. It's one of those things that if it was my opportunity and my choice to be able to go out there and just do all the stuff, talk shit, I think that would probably be easier than being humble.
Now, Tony, you tweeted the other day, remember the first Ultimate Fighter champ to knock out all opponents in a season, 170 pounds. Once I'm done cleaning house at 155, I'll move back up. When did you make the decision that you wanted to move back up to welterweight? And are you looking to become a 2-division champion yourself?
When I looked at my weight now, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I remember barely making 170, like 175, 180 pounds, and I was feeling amazing. And all these 170 pounds were too big, too fast, too slow. And I would go in there and I would just be natural body weight. And I got the frame for 170 pounds, and I love to eat. So as I sat there last night eating my asparagus, my sweet potato, and my T-bone steak, I sat there and I was like, shit, man, I would love to eat 2 T-bone steaks and more asparagus and a sweet potato. Why the hell not?
Let me ask you this, Tony. Does it have anything to do with issues cutting down to 155? Because we all know there's an IV ban at the moment. Did that affect your decision at all, or was it really the fact that you did want to have an extra T-bone steak?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the reason why is I'm a USA wrestling champion, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I am born and bred, and I make weight. I've only missed weight one time. I never needed freaking IV to do that crap. I think the issue is Khabib. That dude has not made weight 2 years. I see your boy going to the emergency hospital and claiming that he's dehydrated and being able to finagle some smooth ends to be able to get an IV because he can't see or do whatever. Khabib, if you're listening, dude, you get an IV, you're a wuss, man. Do this shit natural.
Well, Tony, we're going to finish up the interview with something that we do with all our guests. Most of the time, it's called the Submission Radio Tap Out Round, basically where we ask you a bunch of fun questions, and you answer with the first thing that comes to mind. Something fun to wrap up the interview, kind of like word association. So are you ready?
Yeah, buddy.
All right, if you could be one superhero, who would it be and why? And before we get your answer, we got to admit we think you'd be a great Spider-Man or Deadshot because of all your flips and crazy roles. But if you could be one superhero, who would you be?
Deadpool.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Deadpool, so we have to ask you, Tony, have you seen the movie and what did you think?
I have not seen the movie yet. I'm a fan of the movie, but yet I will see it probably this weekend. And you know what? I've heard nothing but great things of it. But anything that's always like that, you know, it's always cool to just kind of wait, build the anticipation. So I'm actually pretty excited about it.
We've seen it twice. We're going to be talking about it on the show a little bit later on. No spoilers, but Khabib is going to be your Francis to your Deadpool, basically. Now, you seem like a pretty intense guy, but how does Tony Ferguson unwind?
Oh, dude, I have fun. If you guys have any, notice of me, if you follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, Tony Ferguson XD, you know I have a lot of fun. I love to be able to... I'm a big foodie, adrenaline junkie. I'm a gamer. I love the classic Nintendo games. I'm an 8-bit warrior. And I'm always innovative, man. I'm an inventor. So I got a couple little patents coming out, and you guys will be just watching, man. I do work.
Well, you mentioned that you're a big gamer, so now we have to ask you, what's your favorite classic Nintendo game of all time?
Ooh. Let's see. You have Legend of Zelda, got Metroid, River City Ransom, Kung Fu, Battletoads. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, probably.
There you go.
You can go on all day, man. You got the Contra. You remember? I guarantee you know the code for Contra. But that's the beauty of it. You know, I love being able to go to the classics, the good stuff. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, we're big Double Dragon guys ourselves. Now, Tony, give us your number one cruising tune. Now you're stuck talking to us, so you can't listen to music. But normally when you're cruising, you got a long drive like now. What's your number one cruising tune?
Cruising tune. I listen to Freddie Radio. I'm always about the Rick Ross and T.I. And then just a little bit about Rage Against the Machine, some Metallica. I keep it like Carlos Santana. I listen to some reggaeton. When I'm in the boxing ring, I like to move around. There's a lot of Spanish music, and it gets me in the mood, man. Just get that blood going, that Mexican Guerrero.
Now, we noticed on social media that you were doing a bit of bowling. Could Tony Ferguson beat Khabib in a game of bowling? And if so, what kind of blowout are we talking about here?
Oh, I would bowl over a 200 game, man. I would probably be like 220 and slide next up in the 10th frame or something like that on one stupid pin by Khabib. Be like, oh, Tony lose.
We're pretty sure he doesn't listen to our show, so you can be brutally honest, Tony. Freddie Prinze Jr., how good are his BJJ skills?
He's pretty good, man. The dude has gotten in an accident. He's had a fused vertebrae.
Oh.
So I give him props for that. He's bounced back, and he had to take a leave of absence from acting because of that. And this dude's on point, man. He's a student of the Smackdown Academy, Tony Ferguson MMA system. And I just talked to him this morning, and he's not able to make it to practice tomorrow because he's going to go kick some ass in boxing. So I was like, all right, we'll see you next week, bud.
Wow, Freddie Prinze Jr., almost like a Bruce Wayne or something, just skills in every area. Now, finally, give us the prediction. Final question, Tony. How are you beating Khabib at UFC on Fox 19? Give us the prediction.
I'm going to finish Khabib. Either in the first round or second round. I'm going to make sure I don't want to keep him in there because it depends on how bad he pisses me off from now until then. I have 5 rounds to go in there and do work and make his face ugly. I did that with Josh Thompson for 3 rounds. He pissed me off at the weigh-ins. Edson Barbosa, I went in there, and this was a job that I just needed to get done. He didn't piss me off. And, same thing with T-Bow. In this case, Khabib, I might make him go 25 minutes with me. Hit him in the body so many times he wants to quit. And I just see that happening. I just see quit in his face.
Wow, there you go. Well, that's a bold prediction. Tony Ferguson looking to be the first man to not only beat Khabib Nurmagomedov, but do it in potentially 2 rounds. And you guys can obviously catch all the action at UFC on Fox 19 on April 16th in the US. And due to the time difference, it'll be the 17th of April here in Australia. And obviously follow Tony on Twitter and Instagram at Tony Ferguson XT to catch all his goodness and see what he's up to. Tony, thank you so much for being on the show and chatting with us. We appreciate your time and good luck in the fight.
Hey, solid, man. Thank you, guys.